Hey y'all, Super X here. Want to do a little update on wicking with Kogendo, KGD, Kogendo, however you want to call it. Just to show you basically some improved methods that I've got. Kind of seen some other methods, incorporated them. I'm not going to say they're my own. I'm just going to show it to you in a simpler way that I found that works well for me. Might make it easier for you to get the correct wick size too when you're wicking a coil. And if you're looking for this kind of performance, no sizzle, no cooking, no dieseling type of bait. That's a simple 24 watts, 0.4443 ohms. That's basically it. Real simple wicking style. Let's go ahead and look at it. Start out with a pad of KGD, Kogendo. And I do remove the outside layers, both of them. I think I was getting a little overzealous with that side. Just find this little like white deal here and pull them off there. It's a personal preference whether or not you want. I just try and keep it to where I'm removing as little of the kind of the heart of the wick as possible. Okay, just try and get it, just the outside white strips off there. It's kind of like that denser part. Okay, that's pretty much it. I've found that this what it does for my vape, so it allows me to wet the wick less, be it whether you're bottom feeding or dripping. Now you have a pad. Note that the grain of this pad goes this way. Okay, it goes like that. Alright, what I'm going to basically try and do is stretch this out somewhat. Like I said, I've seen videos on this. I don't want to not give credit where credit is due. I did not come up with this method of wicking. I've seen it called different things. I've had people suggest me to try different things. I think I've heard it called the Scottish roll. I've heard it called like a Cheech and Chong deal. All I'm doing is stretching it out a little bit, going with the grain, okay? That's where we're going to start. And then at this point, I'm going to be, like I said, using 2.5 inside diameter coil. For that, I've realized that you just basically cut this into 4 strips. So my first cut is with the grain. Kind of get as close to the center as possible. Cut it with the grain. Okay, then I take these 2 pads and I cut them in half against the grain. Bear with me on the whole graining issue. You can put 3 of them away because you're going to do basically the same thing with those other ones if you want to make more wicks. This is going to be for a single coil wick. So I've kind of spread it out enough. I haven't ripped it. I haven't gone all the way through it. So I like working with this little piece a lot better. So I'm spreading it out more. Just basically spreading it out so it's really thin as possible. Then I'll go through and remove seeds. Whether or not you want to remove seeds, notice I'm still pulling it. The grains are running this way, like the same as these big lines on my thing. That's what way the grains are running on the wick. That's important. It's extremely important. If you're working against the grain rather than with it, it's not going to do, I don't know what it'll do. I've never worked against the grain. So there's basically what I got there. Then what I do is I grab some tweezers and I try and remove any like seeds that I know will be where the coil surface is. You know, I don't want seeds in my vape. You might want seeds in your vape. I don't. Or seeds, who even knows what the hell those things are? Could be like freaking fingernail particles, who knows? So with that said, I try and get them all out. Could be dirt, whatever it is. Okay, so there's basically what you're going to wind up with, okay? And the first thing I do that might deviate a little bit from other methods is I just cut off the thinner ends because it's like I'm not going to spend all day separating this stuff. The thicker end, the ends are a little bit thicker. This one isn't terribly bad, but I'm still going to just take it off. This winds up fitting almost perfectly through my coil. So all I'm going to do is put it down the table and twist it up. Basically what you're going to make is like a little straw. Not going to make any drug references here, although it'd be easy to. Go back about 25 years and liken it to something. Okay, I'm just going to roll this up. That's all I'm doing is rolling it out. Now, one of the things we'll note, differing from the video I made probably like a year ago or more on this subject, is that we're going for a little more density. And I see I've got a little bit of seed action right there. Just going to go ahead and try and get them out. Can we call it seeds? We don't know. What the hell it is. I think I should change my channel name to the OCD Vapor. He used to smoke and not give a damn, do all kinds of other stuff, to now I don't want those little things in my vape. So there I found right about there. Okay, and then basically I'm just going to trim off this piece right here. Notice I'm using kind of bigger scissors. I have smaller scissors for working once I get it in the atomizer. And then I'm going to look at it kind of, you want it to be as round as possible. And I'm not kind of concerned with these seeds out here, or fingernail chunks, or whatever the hell they are. I'm more concerned with what I know is going to be in the coil, and that's going to be somewhere near the center of this. Okay, so that's that. I'm just feeling it up a little bit. Now it's going to go into this coil right here. This is a parallel 2.5 millimeter ID coil. So by feeling it and kind of compressing it, I'll know. And we're going to want this to go in dense. Now, so I'm going to say if you're using lighter wire than 26 gauge, I'm going to cut these ends off here, too. At least that one. The other one I don't really give a darn about. If you're using wire that's lighter, I say like than 26 gauge, lighter meaning 27, 28, 29, 30, this isn't going to work. It's going to pull your coil all over the place. I'd say 26 gauge is about as light as you'd like to go. For heavier gauge wire, it probably works even better because we don't want to mess up the coil with it. And that's kind of like a contact wind. So all I'm going to do is I have a little wet paper towel here. I'm just twisting the tips of my fingers, okay? Wetting the tips of my fingers so I can stick this through. Get a nice point on it, like that. Stick it in the coil. Grab it with your tweezers. Probably should have made sure the mod was off. We'll try and be extremely careful not to hit the fire button. So we want to have more resistance than we typically would with this wick. So you can see it kind of bunch it up, and I'm pulling it through, and if I was to pull it, it would drag my mod, which is contrary. But with this type of wick, it's also extremely important that you prime it first. This I don't rely on just bottom feeding it to get it to wick. So I'll just try and get it to where it's right about there. No big deal. Now I'll break out the smaller scissors at this point. Trim this puppy right to about the edge of the deck there. To about the edge of the deck there. And we'll push it down in there. Let's usually use a little screwdriver here. Let's see if we can tighten up on this a little bit at this point. This is a single coil, by the way, as I was saying before. And I don't try and like really spread that out much, because remember, we're trying to maintain the kind of straw effect of it. Again, it's just getting down into the bowl, not plugging the bowl. Now, if you drip, you might have some different wicking. You might want a little more in there, you might not. I find the less wick that I have in the bowl, just enough to get down in there and pick it up, the better it works in this scenario, because it's a bottom feeder. Now we're just going to prime it up real quick. This is a relatively clear juice. It's basically VG with Nick base and a tiny little bit of PG. This to me is important with this type of wick, because it just will take forever, being how dense it is, for it to pull all that in. So you'd wind up tasting a bunch of cotton for a while. If I was doing dual coils, there'd be another one on this other side. I'd do basically exactly the same thing. So we got a nice dense wick. Basically it holds a bunch more juice. Doesn't sizzle. Doesn't diesel. Doesn't afterburn. And that's really it. Being that this is a bottom feeder, if you look in there, you can squeeze this little bottle right here. It brings juice up into the mod. So I wet on the fly now like this, rather than having this bottle. This happens to be, just in case you're curious, this is an SVA Penguin. That is a MedMods M-Addy. Whether it makes any difference or not the purpose of this video. More to show you updated wicking methods that have evolved some from like a year ago. So that's pretty much the deal. Right there. So now that'll pick up any juice that's in there. It's already well primed. Probably nice and saturated. Now, good sign. of good wicking right here at this stage of the game. If it's popping a bunch, you didn't wick it right. If it's nice and smooth like that, see how nice and smooth that is, and it's not doing a whole bunch of snap, crackle, and popping all over the place. Now again, this is down at 24.7 watts. That's like a 0.4, whatever it was, 0.430, 0.43 ohm coil. And it's good to go at this point. I think it could be worthy of a vape. Let's line up the air slot right in front of the coil. Take it for a rip. Simplified wicking with KGD that requires a lot less addition of juice or a lot less squonking if you're a squonker. And also, again, if you listen to that, there's no like sounds of any kind of afterburn, dieseling, sizzling, ticking, hissing, popping, any of that. Just a nice smooth vape. That's what we're going for. Thanks for watching. See ya.